Hello, my name's Artemis, and happy fucking Pride Month! Here we go, that 1 month of the year which we get compared to the 11th that the straights get, but whatever. And it's a very important month indeed, which is why I have decided to talk about why we still fucking need Pride. And some of you long-time watchers might be wondering, why are you making a video that you've already made before? And I will tell you why. It's because this shit's still fucking relevant. And 2 years hence, here we are, and there's still hot button issues that they decide they want to bitch up about to try and take our fucking rights from us. And that shit, just not acceptable, okay? So I'm gonna get ranty and angry at these bigoted cuntholes who think that they get to dictate the lives of other people despite preaching freedom. Let's get into it. So, obviously, drag has become the new hot button issue that you get to attack if you are a raging homophobe, but you don't want to outright say that you are. No, you can hide behind the guise of protecting children and protecting those family values when, honestly, you don't really care about any of those, because if you did, you would actually do something about the things that threaten children. And let's be honest, when you say you want to protect family values, what you really mean is you want to protect Christian values, because it's all about religious persecution, huh? Right? Yep. Obviously. But yes, drag has become the hot button topic for people to go against, as if drag hasn't been something that has existed for centuries, as if people haven't throughout history been dressing up in various ways to entertain not just children but everybody, as if this country itself does not have an entire industry in the theatre that revolves around having a specific drag character. No. Obviously, we have decided that this is the hill that the homophobes want to fucking die on, no matter how little evidence they have for it and how fucking stupid and pointless this battle is. And of course, the other very big issue of the day is, of course, transgenderism, where people obviously see their gender as something separate to the body they were born in and seek to make amends throughout what means they can to live their life as they want, to exercise freedom over their own individual personality and identity, which for some reason other people think that they get to stick their hand in and have some control over, which honestly takes a very specific brand of fucking arrogance to be able to look at someone else and say, no, I have more authority over who you are as a person than you do. I like to call those people cunts. But yes, this has obviously been something people have been attacking because it involves a certain level of medical freedom, which when it comes to wearing a face mask, everybody is all about bodily autonomy. Obviously, you have the rights to make the healthcare decisions for you and your body. But when it comes to abortion and trans rights, then they obviously just want to cut that shit away. Because, again, it's something they don't like, and it's a way that they can exercise their homophobia by covering it with the guise of protecting children. Because obviously it all goes back to the kids, apart from when it's a school shooting. But whatever. Yes, transgenderism is obviously a very big issue because it has always been there. Everybody likes to say, like, oh, well, where have all these trans people come from? Spoiler alert, they've always been there. There's just been absolutely no framework for them to live their life openly because hatred in the world, lack of acceptance. Now that we are getting closer to that stage, it's not that there's more of them, it's that they don't have to fucking hide as much. That is generally a good thing when you don't have dickheads deciding that they want to use this as a political weapon. So I think the real concerning part is that this is actually the same fight, they've just changed the targets and changed the wording around a little bit. Sure, they can't go out in the streets and protest gay marriage because that shit happened, it's in power, and it's been protected. But if you take out the words gay marriage and instead put in gender-affirming care, and suddenly they can make that fight. And ultimately it's because it's still the same brand of homophobia. It is still the same bullshit mentalities, but they've realised they've lost one battle, so they've got to start another. And that's why it needs pushing against as hard as possible, because no matter how much we claw and scrape to get equality and get our rights, they will always be pushing back. And don't think that they're at the moment just attacking trans people and drag and trying to get that all abolished and taken down, because the second that's done, the second they accomplish that, they move on to the next, and then the next, and then the next, because it's the same shit. Whether you're against trans people, whether you're against drag, whether you're against any of this, it's still against the LGBTQIA+ community, And that is the core of the fucking problem. This hatred is still there. These people that want to control other people's lives according to their bigoted ass beliefs are still running the fucking show when it comes to this battleground. But beyond the fact that this is obviously an ongoing battle that will probably always be ongoing, I think the harder part is that these key issues right here are being used as political weapons. They are not being taken seriously as matters of people's rights. They are just, quite frankly, being boiled down to instilling an us versus them mentality. You see, if you are a politician and you are shit at your job, like 99% of them are, you have no plan for your country and no plan to actually make people's lives better, then the only way you get into power and keep that power is by instilling fear, instilling a mob mentality, instilling a sense of us versus them. And the easiest way to do that is to play on different ideals such as religion and sexual expression and gender expression, obviously. And if you can tie that in with protecting family values, children, the rights of the Constitution, all of that jazz, then you're onto a fucking winner. And that's the real shit part, because honestly, deep down, nobody cares about these issues the way they pretend to. Like, if you are not yourself a transgender person, then absolutely none of this will apply to you. Not a single second of it. Not a tiny little sentence will apply to you, because you will not be seeking out this gender affirming care. You were lucky enough to be born in the biology that fits your gender expression. Fantastic, lucky you. Not everybody else gets that, which means you don't need to go off and get that gender affirming care unless you're a bloke who needs hair implants or to get your tits cut off, or maybe you just need Viagra because you can't get it up anymore, because apparently that level of gender affirming care is obviously totally fucking acceptable. But anything beyond that dares get you anywhere closer to the libs and the gays, that obviously has to be shot down. And the whole guise of protecting children is just yet another political weapon, because they know that people like kids, and more importantly, they like the status of having kids. And that, you are breeding, you are a breeder, you are someone who contributes to the population, therefore you are morally superior. So any threat to that instills this very primal, very tribal instinct of it must be shunned, it must be destroyed. And ultimately, again, if you're focused on this, you're not focused on them picking your pockets over there. You're not focused on them putting all the food and fuel prices up, raising your mortgage rates. You're not focused on that. All you're focused on is that they're cutting bits off of children. No, they're not. But thank you for pretending that that's actually going on so that we can get into office and continue to shaft you. Once again, we, the LGBTQIA+ community, are being used as scapegoats for political gain, and also being punished for the crimes of the church and the straights. Because let's be fucking honest, if you want to talk about threats to children, we can talk about school shootings, or we can talk about all of the goddamn fucking religious authority figures that are being taken down for molestation and paedophilia charges. Do we want to talk about that? Do we? No, I don't think you fucking do, because it's drag that's the problem, clearly. Fucking hell. Ultimately, the LGBTQIA+ community has always been a community of outsiders. It is those of us who do not feel like we fit in with conventional society because of who we are and what we choose to base our life around. And that's always going to be at odds with society. Society is built around everybody fitting into a generally accepted norm. And when you go against that, there's always friction, and friction leads to heat and sparks, and dickheads using legislation and weapons to try and take your rights away from you. And that's always going to be a problem that needs fighting against. It's not something that's going to go away, which means we got to get good at fighting this shit, because if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. And the real sad part of it is that when you boil it down, when you get down past all of the issues of religious belief and morals and family values, all of that shit, and you get down to the crux of the matter, what it really is a group of people, us, who focus on who we love. We focus on what we love and what we want the world to be. And we're being attacked by people who only focus on what they hate, on who they hate and the things that they seek to control. That right there is the very seed to which all of this has grown. It's what people love versus what they hate. But I'm willing to bet that what we love and our feelings of love are far fucking stronger than feelings of hatred. It has been so far, we're still fucking here. And it's a reason why I think we're going to have to continue this fucking fight, because we cannot let the hatred win. You know, we want to love each other. We want to be who we are and be free about expressing it. And if them over there want us to shut up for their sake just because they irrationally hate us, then they can get in the fucking bin. They can get in the fucking sea. And quite frankly, they can hurry up and die off so that the species can move on and be better for their fucking loss. Happy Pride, yo! And hopefully soon, happy Wrath. But yes, I feel like we've made the point now before we just end up shouting for 7 hours on end again, because this is a very big issue that affects all of us in the LGBT community, and hell, they're even managing to sow dissent within the LGBTQIA+ community by having this LGB alliance bullshit actually exist. And it's a very impressive thing to have people forget their own history, but it's a reason why we need to keep this up. Representation fucking matters. Visibility fucking matters. It all does. You hear that argument of, oh, I don't mind it as long as they're not all in our face about it. We have to be all in everybody's face about it. Otherwise, we get wiped the fuck out. If straight people keep their shit to themselves, they still get to exist. If we do that, we lose our fucking rights. We lose our privileges. We lose the ability to live our life as who the fuck we are. And guess what? We ain't going back to that shit, okay? We're supposed to be walking forward through development and evolution, not fucking backwards. But thank you for watching. Hopefully this video was a good one, and not just me shouting randomly into the camera in a rage. But then people like that, so it's not as if I'm wrong, is it? And that's the thing that we all need to remember, is that we're right. We're on the right side of history, and history will reflect that. We are correct. There is a time in the future where people will be looking back at this era and thinking, how the fuck did anybody fight against transgenderism? How did anybody fight against this? Like, what's the problem with it? Nothing, because it's be so normal in the future, but we're on the battlegrounds at the moment where we have to prove that point. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you would like to help support us and the channel, then you can maybe check out some of the merch, you can maybe check out some of the patron stuff. But beyond the shameless plugs, what you can really do to help out and support and get the fuck rid of that is be active. Be active in the community, be active with each other, lift each other up. If you see people struggling or needing this sense of community and acceptance, you help them. And if you have the opportunity to take action on any of this, if there are city council meetings, if there are legislative meetings, if there are positions that you can occupy to make things better for everybody, do it. This only works if everybody makes the point that we are part of your society, and we will fucking be part of your society. And if we can get into these systems and actively take a part of them, it doesn't need to be us versus them. We can just all come together as a collective fucking us. Let's do it. Let's be the force for good we want to see in the world. I'm gonna fucking try. It's gonna be difficult in this country because it's, you know, dead and dying, but whatevs. But thanks for watching. Happy Pride, everybody. Love is fucking love. And there is no simpler, more basic, wholehearted human truth than that. I'll see you next week. Bye.